Welcome to our channel, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for your continued support. Earlier in the day, State House released a report of Ruto's engagement with the former President Uhuru Kenyatta in his Gatundu home in ICHAWERI. And the mood and the tone of the statement and the letter that was given to Kenyans painted a picture of two leaders who had agreed, who had had a handshake, who had agreed even to work together. And this really vexed many Kenyans because people had started wondering, how lucky can William Samoei Ruto be? He has managed to kill and pocket the opposition, and Kenyans are left on their own. In fact, the emerging opposition leader now is none other than Rigathi Gachagua. And then they were like, now Uhuru again, after all that William Ruto subjected Uhuru Kenyatta, and he went through quite a lot, trying to frustrate the mother, the son, the family, the businesses, and they felt this is a gone case. And from the replies that I was getting, people were saying, I'm not boarding. If Uhuru Kenyatta decides to go with William Ruto, let them go with Raila and any other person. But come 2027, we're going to have a competition between the forces of change and the forces of status quo. But then the statement from the office of the fourth president has contradicted the statement from State House. The mood and the tone are totally different. You may think one is from heaven, the other is from earth. The gap is so big. So I want us to go, if you read the mood, and I want us to go straight to what is happening. The State House had a long story. Now, William Ruto summarized it this way. I have had a fruitful engagement with the retired President Uhuru Kenyatta when I paid him a courtesy call at his Gatundu home where we discussed national and regional issues. I thanked him for his continued role as a national statesman and for peacemaking in the region. We called for expeditious resolution of the court matters on IEBC and urged support for the candidacy of former Prime Minister Raila Odinga for the chair of the African Union Commission. That summary. Now, someone called Anwar Sadat answered him this way. Hey, read the statement from State House and that from Uhuru's office. Things must be very difficult for you to swallow your pride and seek out Uhuru, who from his statement ni kama alikusomea vizuri. Ni kama alikusomea vizuri. So I want us to go to Uhuru's statement and why Anwar Sadat feels that Uhuru must have read a riot act when William Ruto visited him. Now, and I want us to go to read it very closely because you will see the mood. Pay attention to the mood and the tone of this letter. And you will realize that Uhuru Kenyatta had read the mood of in the country. And this is what it says. It is normal and common practice and indeed recommended that sitting and former presidents engage and consult on matters of national importance for the benefit of the citizenry. It is in light of this that His Excellency President Ruto paid a courtesy visit to the fourth president of Kenya, His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta, at his ICHAWERI residence in Gatundu. The two engaged in discussions pertaining to Kenyans' national interest, particularly matters that have been raised by citizens as challenges and handicaps to their well-being. Ladies and gentlemen, Uhuru's statement is, it is normal and common practice. You know, normally, Uhuru would say, I had the privilege of meeting William Samoei Ruto. But now, why would Uhuru Kenyatta begin by, it is normal? Meaning, he had read the mood and people are wondering, how come you meet a person who has raised taxes, a person who has detached himself from Kenyans? And that's why he says, it is normal. You look at that and compare it to the tone of Ruto's letter. And then Uhuru emphasizes that they talked about matters that Kenyans have raised as problems bedeviling them. Kenyans. And then he goes on to say this include animosity with the political ranks that has created a hostile atmosphere, leading to harassment of individuals perceived to be in position or hostile to the government. Look at that. Those who are perceived to be in the position, those who don't read from the same page as the government are being harassed. Uhuru tells us that they talked about the harassment of those who are perceived to be or in the position. And Ruto did not talk about that. Then he says matters of taxation that we have that have been raised by Kenyans and possible solutions to them. So they talked about taxation, the high taxes that Kenyans are complaining about, and how they can have a solution to that. Ruto did not tell us anything about taxes. It goes ahead, matters of insecurity and best practice in citizen policing and matters of human capital at all levels capable of resolving these challenges. Ruto did tell us that they talked about insecurity. So you can see they were giving us one side of the story. Uhuru Kenyatta contradicts them. Uhuru lays bare what they had talked about. According to William Ruto, and if you read the statement from State House, it is like they had agreed on anything. Ruto did tell us about these problems that are bedeviling Kenyans. And President Kenyatta encouraged President Ruto to build a broader political consensus that ensures inclusivity in governance and development at all levels. They also discussed the need for a vibrant opposition that is crucial for our democracy. Inclusivity. And I don't know whether this means that Uhuru Kenyatta welcomes the broad-based government. I don't understand, but they tell us they talked about the need for inclusivity. I don't know whether it is the broad-based government or inclusivity in terms of development, appointments, so that you don't sideline one region. I don't know. But that's what it says. And Uhuru emphasizes on a stronger opposition, a vibrant opposition, because we don't have one. Yes, people like Kalonzo are trying. But one thing that shocks me is that Ruto didn't tell us about this. Let's continue. His Excellency President Uhuru Kenyatta laid emphasis on specific areas that he felt are crucial in stabilizing the country. Look at that. Top among these issues are transparency and accountability. The church has talked about accountability and transparency. In fact, the church was even more brutal. The church called William Ruto a liar. It is like William Ruto is being dishonest and every Kenya feels is a liar. So even Uhuru Kenyatta is talking about matters that can stabilize the country, and top among them, as he gives us, is transparency and accountability. Transparency and accountability kwa Kiswahili ni nini? If you lack transparency and accountability, then it simply means you are corrupt and you are a liar. So this is what exactly Uhuru is talking about. That he stressed that in a democracy sector, practitioners need to be consulted continuously and sustainably because they usually have solutions themselves. Further, to entrench Kenya's democratic credentials, there is an urgent need to reconstitute the IEBC in a similar transparent manner. Before I move on, Uhuru Kenyatta is telling William Ruto that in matters transparency, we don't just need to organize for a shambolic IEBC commission, but we need to ensure that we construct the IEBC in a similar transparent manner, meaning that you don't come up with something and tell us that you have commissioners whom you know very well will only work for you. Further, continuous engagement are the solution to an all-inclusive democratic process. Even good ideas that are not implemented transparently will create suspicion and mistrust. Do you remember something about Adani deal? We agreed that Adani could have been maybe a better deal if it was signed in the public, or rather, if the public was informed before, but did it have to wait for Nelson Amenya to blow the whistle? So Uhuru Kenyatta is telling William Ruto, this idea of unilaterally deciding things and making transitions, yet we have Kenyans who should be consulted. This idea of you're not telling William Ruto, don't engage people, you go for it. Uhuru is telling them we need transparency, IBC must be reconstituted transparently, and you must consult. Even good ideas that are implemented without transparency bring suspicion. In the difficult circumstances that the global community is experiencing, accountability and transparency become the hallmark of stability. He's still emphasizing on accountability and transparency, something that Ruto did not tell us about. He called for a people-centered, service-oriented culture in government actions. People-centered, service-oriented. That our leaders must be our servants, not just thumping. Our ministers now warning us and telling us that they will come for us. If you read this, the mood of this letter, you will agree with me. It is very different from what William Ruto was telling us. Now, President Uhuru agreed to be consulted privately or otherwise in efforts that lead to a hopeful, prosperous, united, and stable nation. On his part, His Excellency President Ruto agreed to engage all stakeholders in an effort to remove any unnecessary tension in the country and to propose a reconciliatory way forward. He stressed that the tension caused by the elections are over and it is time to focus on the future as one nation. Ladies and gentlemen, Uhuru says you can, my door is open, you can always consult me in private or otherwise. In other words, don't call Uhuru Kenyatta in public and tell them that at Uhuru ashaingia box, Uhuru is with us. No. Uhuru says you can consult me privately or otherwise. So I just want to present to you very humbly and submit to you that what Uhuru is giving us is very different from what Ruto was giving us. Ruto is playing politics. Uhuru is being real, giving us what they talked about, matters that are bedeviling Kenyans, taxation, insecurity, lack of transparency and accountability. The way the president and the executive is dealing with people who are perceived to be in opposition. And I think Gachagua has been a victim. And so this is why I'm telling you that Uhuru Kenyatta rejected that handshake, because the picture that is being painted for us is not the picture that Uhuru is painting for us. I could be wrong. When you juxtapose what Ruto is saying and what Uhuru is saying, do you see any similarity or discrepancy? Please share with me in the comment section.